Now on the Locked On Celtics podcast, Anfernee Simons has been traded. Why this might mean Jayson Tatum is coming back soon.
Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast. Right here in the Locked On Podcast Network, it's your team every day, and this time it's your team twice a day. It's a bonus podcast here, specifically on the Vucevic trade. I will have a post-game podcast after the Dallas Mavericks game tonight, so this will hold you over until then because this is the big news anyway. Who cares about that game right now? What we care about is Anfernee Simons being traded to the Chicago Bulls for Nikola Vucevic and a second-round pick. If you're new to the show is daily. It's available Monday through Friday for free everywhere. It's on YouTube. You can watch it there. Bonus podcasts when they play on the weekends. I'm John Karalis. I'm a beat writer covering the Celtics for Sports Illustrated's Celtics on SI. I've been covering the team for about 20 years. I've been doing this podcast for 10, and I've written a couple of books about this team. Let's dive into it. Why was Simons traded for Nikola Vucevic? This is, I think, why this impacts the Tatum thing. Like I said at the top, you're getting in effect an Al Horford type in Vooch. You save money. It's an expiring contract. There's no real risk here, right? All you're doing is taking a wing out and putting in a big, and it's a stretch big. So why would you lose wing shooting if you're the Celtics, a guy that's helped them get through a lot of kind of tough scoring nights? The thing you think about right away is, well, this must mean that Jayson Tatum is going to be coming back at some point here this season, because the Celtics really leaned on Simons. How many times has he come in? He did it the other night. Just comes in. Celtics were cold. He comes in hot and scores a bunch in the first quarter. Now all of a sudden the Celtics are off to the races. So losing that is really tough for this team. Bringing in Vooch gives the Celtics, like I said, that Al Horford type. He's 35, so he's older. He is going to grab rebounds. He's going to defend a little bit, but nothing great. He's not going to get out there and switch a ton. It's not going to save the Celtics defense much at all, but he'll get some rebounds. But more importantly, he's going to hit shots, right? He's averaging 17 points a game. He shoots over 50% on twos. He's shooting almost 38% on threes. He's recently shot 40%. So right away, coming in to a team with better talent, you're looking at the potential for him to be open. And again, this means this is with Tatum coming back, to be open a little bit more and to be able to get some cleaner looks from three. So a floor spacer that can run pick and pop, that I believe is going to step into the starting role and push Neemias Queta to the backup role, at least for now. And I think that's probably that's fine. That's fine for me. Queta is going to be good no matter where he is slotted. He's going to still get the same amount of minutes. And the Celtics can go different, more defense with Queta, more offense with Vooch. And late in the game, you have, I think, a better scorer, a better scoring option than Luka Garza, and a better rebounder, defensive rebounder than Luka Garza. Obviously, Garza is like a workhorse on the offensive rebounds, and you still have Garza as a third string guy who can come in and do that, can come in and offensive rebound when the Celtics are missing a ton, and you need that. So you have three distinct looks that you can give other teams. Does this move wow me? No, not necessarily, but I think a lot of the same concepts that we were talking about with Simons apply to Vucevic. You have his bird rights, so you're trading for him now, but you can re-sign him this summer if you want at much less, and it's going to be less than even the $15 million mid-level that I was thinking about for Simons. I think Vooch can probably be signed for, I don't know, 10 million, less than 10 million this summer if the Celtics want to re-sign him at all. One big element here is the traded player exception that they've created. The Celtics have created a $27.7 million, whatever the Anfernee Simons size salary. They've created a traded player exception because just a little cap nerd type of stuff. The Celtics acquired Vooch into the Kristaps Porzingis traded player exception. So they technically acquired him for that and then sent Simons out in a technically separate deal where they created a Simons size traded player exception. Why is that important? Because you've extended the window now. You have between February, well, actually, it won't be February 3rd. It'll be February 5th or 6th when, it'll be 5th because that's when the trade deadline is. It'll be February 5th till next February 5th to use the $27.6 or $7 million traded player exception, which you can use to acquire one player. You can break it up to acquire two. Remember, you can't combine it with others to get a bigger player, but you can use that to acquire somebody this summer. So even if you let Vooch walk this summer, or maybe you keep him around at a much less, like a more reasonable deal, you can use that $27+ million in a potential Giannis Antetokounmpo trade, assuming that is going to get pushed into the summer. But if it does, great. If it doesn't, there's going to be other deals this summer. You can be a third team and help facilitate a deal and maybe get another player. Maybe you get another wing player. It's easier to maybe find a wing bench scorer to replace what you lost with Simons to boost that bench a little bit. So this is certainly not the finished product, and they don't have to finish the product at the deadline. There will be more moves. I'm sure the Chris Boucher thing has to be panned out. He's out for personal reasons. So I think a Chris Boucher trade is coming as well. But that may be for, I don't know what that, it might just be for just to get him out, or maybe they use that to get a wing of some sort, but that's separate. The Celtics created this TPE to kind of extend the window of being able to acquire somebody that you don't necessarily have to send a player out for. The Celtics get under the first apron here, so they have a little bit more flexibility. I don't think it's a huge deal that they're under the first apron, but financially for Bill Chisholm, this deal cuts $6 million in actual salary, and I believe almost $20 million, about $20 million in luxury taxes. So they don't get under the tax, but they can get under the tax if they want, but there's no pressure to do so. But they probably just saved Bill Chisholm $20 million just by doing this deal. So I'm sure he's happy about that. So that's a big impact for them. Being under the first apron, what does that do? It takes away some restrictions. If one of the deals that comes up in the next couple of days is a sign and trade somehow, or not in the next couple of days, in this summer, you can be hard capped at the first apron via sign and trade, but you can't. It just takes away some of the restrictions. So a sign and trade is now possible when you're under the first apron. A buyout is you have a little bit more flexibility in the buyout market with your being under the first apron, because you can find a guy, a big money player. You can sign that player to whatever contract. There's a new rule in the CBA where if a person was making more than the mid-level exception in a buyout, if you sign that guy, you're hard capped at the first apron. So if one of those guys happens to become available and the Celtics want to sign him, now they can. I don't know who that would be. And generally speaking, the buyouts in those situations, they are rarely helpful anyway, but it's there. It's an option. So I'm lukewarm on the deal. Like, ultimately, Vucevic fits, and that's good. I think there are many more positives here. There's not really a ton of negatives. I think where I just might be getting a little hung up is that I was really just on board with Simons. And I think the lesson here with Brad Stevens is as soon as you get comfortable with a position at the trade deadline, that's when he strikes. It really is like a cheetah hanging out in the brush or on a tree branch, and like you're always on guard. The more on guard you are, you're like, okay, I'm ready. If the cheetah's ready to pounce, I'm ready to run. And it's the second you're like, you know what? I'm comfortable with this position that the Celtics should just keep Anfernee Simons. As soon as you do that, boom, there he is. Bam. He hits you right in the throat. So got me again, Brad. But I was comfortable with keeping Anfernee Simons. What does that mean for the future? Look, Simons, I think, is going to, whether it's Chicago or somewhere else, I mean, he has a chance to look at Chicago and maybe be a part of their future, maybe be a starter there, and they have his bird rights too. So maybe he doesn't have to take as much of a pay cut. I still think his spot is the $15 million range, but that's for Chicago to figure out. Vucevic fits. I'm looking at him. I know in yesterday's podcast, I talked about very much a Porzingis kind of role, but Vucevic is a little bit more of a Horford type, but still a stretch big that will open things up for the Celtics. I don't know if they do this deal without the possibility of Tatum coming back. And I know Tatum was hesitant, but I don't think that's going to limit his return at all. I think Vooch is going to do what the Celtics want him to do: space the floor, hit some shots, and grab some rebounds. They're not going to be able to switch with him defensively, so they'll switch 1 through 4, but they won't switch 1 through 5. Very rarely will they do that. They'll play a ton of drop coverage, and they'll do what they've done. They'll pack the paint, they'll protect the rim, they'll do that at all costs, and they will fly out to the 3-point line and try to give up certain threes. They don't always do it with great success, but nothing's going to change there with Vucevic coming into the fold. So we know that the deal won't be official for a couple of days, so there's more potentially to come. And even as I say that, I've made the cardinal sin of turning away from Twitter and the potential for any news here, but no new news. So we're still waiting to see if there's additional stuff going on. The Celtics ended up getting a second-round pick out of this, which they can turn around and attach to somebody else. Maybe it's part of the Boucher deal. We'll see what that ends up being. Is there another deal? Is there a Tillman type of thing? Is there some overflow in the Memphis Utah deal that can bring in somebody? But for now, look, the Celtics get a big. He's good, but at 35, he's not a long-term fit. It's a short-term fit. What do they do from here? There's definitely more work to do. But very clearly, the Celtics thought that keeping Simons was not going to work. So they ended up moving him. The best part, I guess, is that they didn't have to attach anything to move him, which is good. He's played himself into a nice role. He had played himself into a nice role in Boston. So there was no need to attach anything. So the Celtics still have all of their firsts, all of their swaps, all of their everything to kind of send out that spot that he left. It's almost like you can trade Anfernee Simons' shadow with that TPE. So you've traded you almost get to trade Simons twice in a way. You've traded him once for Vucevic, and now you've got that space, that Simons shaped space that you can now trade somewhere else as well. And you still have all your picks to make another big move. So the good thing about all of this is not only is Vucevic a fit, there's definitely potentially more to come. And Boston has kept their trade flexibility, which is really, really important. Yeah, they save some money. Yeah, they get under the first apron. And I don't know if they're going to try to do more, but I think the biggest signal here is Tatum is probably coming back, and they expect him to be some level of himself, and this kind of helps Tatum play the way he's played throughout. So that's my initial Vucevic kind of take. We'll see what happens in the meantime. There's still plenty of trade deadline left. So still almost 2 full days at the time that I'm recording this. So there's an opportunity for the Celtics to do more. We'll react as necessary. You'll get written reaction at SI's Celtics on SI page. So search for Celtics on SI. Go to the Sports Illustrated website. Celtics on SI will have my written kind of reactions to this. But if you're new, if you're here, just part of the algorithm that brought you here, thank you so much for watching and listening. Please subscribe. You can do this audio-wise. If you're an everydayer, if you're with me Monday through Friday, we have the Everydayer Club, which gets you access to ad-free audio, which gets you our Discord server, in-game chats for Celtics fans, for national fans. It's $5 a month. It's $50 for the year if you want to pay up front. If you still have a couple of days to use the code DEADLINE before the trade deadline ends, you get a free month at the Everydayer Club. That's LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com, LockedOnCeltics.supercast.com. Next podcast is coming up after Celtics and Mavericks. So that'll be a pure post-game podcast. But if any new Vucevic thoughts come up between now and then, I will certainly share them then. For now, I would love you to share this podcast and tell everybody that they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.